Ladies and gentlemen, we live in a time where it's easy to make a list of what we want in someone else. We want loyalty, we want depth, we want someone who shows up, who chooses us every single day. But how often do we stop and ask, am I being that person myself? Tonight isn't about how to find the right one. It's about something far more powerful, how to become the right one, because love isn't something you stumble across by accident. It's something you align with when who you are begins to match what your heart truly wants. And when you become what you're looking for, everything changes. Let's talk about what that really looks like. Stop tolerating low-effort love isn't just advice, it's a decision that begins deep within your emotional core. It starts the moment you realize that what you've been calling love isn't actually love at all. It's comfort, it's habit, it's attachment disguised as affection. And when you tolerate low-effort love, you teach yourself to settle for the bare minimum while convincing yourself that you're asking for too much. Low-effort love shows up quietly, often disguised as potential. It sounds like they're just busy right now, or maybe they're not good at texting. It feels like you're constantly the one initiating, constantly the one adjusting, constantly the one hoping they'll come around. But love, when it's real and mutual, doesn't need to be chased. It shows up, it communicates, it commits without being cornered. Yet when you're used to inconsistency, even a little bit of effort can look like a grand gesture. That's the danger, normalizing the crumbs and calling it a meal. You start defending their lack of communication, their mixed signals, their vague intentions. You overanalyze their silence, convincing yourself that it must mean something deeper. But deep down, you already know the truth. If they wanted to, they would. Effort doesn't need to be begged for. When someone values you, their actions are not confusing. They don't leave you wondering where you stand. You don't have to decode messages or play emotional detective to figure out how they feel. They make it known, not in grand performances, but in quiet, steady consistency. Low-effort love thrives on ambiguity. It benefits from your silence, from your willingness to fill in the gaps, from your hope that things will eventually get better if you're just patient enough. But patience without reciprocity becomes self-betrayal. You give more than you receive, you offer grace where accountability is needed, and every time you accept less yourself, worth takes a hit, not because you're weak, but because part of you still believes that this is the best you can get. When you stop tolerating low-effort love, you begin reclaiming your time, your peace, and your clarity. You start noticing how often you've been the one holding the emotional weight of the relationship. How often you've had to justify their distance, their forgetfulness, their lack of presence. You realize that the person who texts back once a week, who cancels plans last minute, who only shows up when it's convenient isn't unsure about you. They're just not invested, and the longer you entertain that, the longer you delay the love that's actually meant for you. Sometimes the fear of being alone keeps us tied to people who don't even meet us halfway. The thought of starting over, of re-entering the dating world, of sitting with our own feelings is terrifying. So we stay, we justify, we tell ourselves this is just how relationships are. But relationships built on mutual effort don't feel like a guessing game. They feel like home, like safety, like knowing someone is choosing you, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's not. You are not hard to love. You're just trying to be loved by someone who hasn't done the work to show up fully. And that's not your burden to carry. It's not your job to teach someone how to value you. It's your job to value yourself enough to walk away when that value isn't recognized. Because the person who truly sees you won't make you beg for effort. They won't disappear when things get serious. They won't love you with conditions attached. Stopping the cycle of low-effort love means honoring your standards in the face of loneliness. It means saying no to connection that lacks depth, clarity, or consistency. It means choosing peace over potential, and most importantly, it means remembering that your worth is not measured by how much you're willing to tolerate, but by how willing you are to wait for what aligns. The moment you stop tolerating the bare minimum is the moment your energy shifts. You no longer chase, you no longer cling, you no longer make excuses for half-hearted communication. You begin attracting the kind of love that doesn't need to be fought for, because it meets you with the same level of intention you've been giving all along. You don't attract love by chasing it, is more than just a reminder, it's a turning point. It's the moment you realize that the love you seek cannot be forced into existence through effort alone, that no amount of perfect texts, pretty photos, or overthinking can create a connection that's not naturally mutual. Because love, when it's real, is not a pursuit. It's a meeting, a recognition, a mutual choosing that doesn't require you to run after someone just to be seen. Chasing love creates an imbalance. It places your worth in someone else's hands, hoping they'll notice your effort, reward your patience, or finally give you what you've been asking for. But love that's genuine doesn't need to be chased. It walks beside you. It reaches for you too. When you chase, you shift the dynamic from equal to proving. You begin performing instead of being. You start changing your rhythm to match someone else's tempo, even when that tempo leaves you breathless, exhausted, and unsure. In the chase, you become hyper, focused on how to be chosen, rather than asking whether this person is even right for you. You make their inconsistency your problem to solve. You overcompensate for their lack of clarity by becoming more available, more agreeable, more whatever you need me to be. But no one worth having should require you to become less of yourself in order to keep them interested. The more you chase, the further you get from your own center, from your own truth, from your own peace. Love doesn't respond to desperation. It doesn't bloom in the soil of anxiety, fear, or proving. It blooms in safety, in ease, in mutual respect. When you chase love, you create pressure, and pressure pushes people away. The very thing you want, a connection built on honesty and effort, becomes impossible under the weight of pursuit, because chasing isn't inviting, it's suffocating. It doesn't say, "I know my worth." It says, "I need you to tell me I have it." There's something deeply magnetic about someone who knows how to hold space for love, but doesn't run after it. Someone who knows they bring value, energy, peace, and presence to the table. Someone who doesn't try to prove anything, but simply allows things to unfold. That kind of presence is felt. It makes people curious. It invites effort. It pulls without needing to push. But learning to stop chasing means you must also learn how to sit with stillness, to resist the urge to fix things, to not text back instantly just because you're scared they'll lose interest. It means learning to stay grounded when they pull away, instead of rushing in to close the gap. It means trusting that the right person won't need to be chased, because they'll be walking toward you too. Sometimes the fear of being overlooked makes us overcompensate. We think if we just try harder, love harder, give more, stay longer, then maybe, just maybe, they'll wake up and realize how valuable we are. But you are not here to be convincing. You are not here to audition. The person who truly sees you won't need to be persuaded. They'll feel it from the start, and if they don't, that's not your failure. It's your redirection. Stepping away from the chase is an act of self-love. It's saying, if I have to beg for your attention, your affection, or your time, I don't want it. It's understanding that love flows where it's welcomed, not hunted. It comes to those who are ready to receive, not to those constantly trying to earn what should be given freely. You don't attract love by chasing it. You attract love by becoming deeply rooted in yourself. by knowing your value whether someone else affirms it or not, by living fully, loving fully, and showing up in your truth without fearing who might leave, because real love doesn't run from your fullness, it's drawn to it. And when it finds you, it won't need to be chased. It'll meet you right where you are and say, "I've been looking for this, too." Become what you're looking for isn't just a motivational phrase, it's a mirror. A call to stop scanning the world for what you think is missing and start asking whether you're embodying the very qualities you seek in someone else. It's easy to make a list of what you want in a partner: emotionally available, consistent, loyal, honest, patient, grounded. But the harder question is, are you showing up as those things yourself? So often, we desire a love that's clear, secure, and deep, but we're still operating from patterns that invite confusion. We say we want someone who communicates with intention, yet we're vague in our own needs. We say we want consistency, yet we entertain people who come and go. We want transparency, yet we hold our cards close, scared of being seen too soon. There's a disconnect, and it's not because we're not worthy of love, it's because we haven't aligned with it internally. Becoming what you're looking for means doing the uncomfortable inner work. It means getting honest about your emotional habits. It means sitting with your triggers instead of projecting them. It means not just wanting someone emotionally intelligent, but becoming emotionally intelligent. Because if you're still emotionally unavailable, you'll keep attracting people who mirror that same fear. You'll crave closeness but pull away when it gets real. You'll sabotage the very thing you say you want, not because you don't deserve it, but because you haven't practiced holding it. When you start embodying what you seek, your energy shifts. You no longer need to search for someone to complete you. You feel complete already. You stop begging for peace and start becoming the source of it. You stop tolerating inconsistency because you've developed stability within yourself. You stop fearing abandonment because you've built a home inside your own heart that no one can take away. People often ask, why do I keep attracting the same type of person? The answer isn't just in them, it's in you. It's in your boundaries, your healing, your energy. If you're operating from wounds, you'll attract people who activate those wounds. If you're operating from wholeness, you'll attract people who reflect your growth. That's not magic, that's alignment. Becoming what you're looking for also means raising the standards for how you show up in relationships. You can't ask for loyalty and offer games. You can't ask for vulnerability and hide behind walls. You can't ask for trust and come with unresolved resentment. You can't ask for long-term commitment and still flirt with temporary distractions. Love won't meet you at your wish list. It meets you at your level of readiness. It's not about perfection, it's about awareness. It's about catching yourself in the act of being the very thing you don't want from others. It's about shifting from reaction to reflection, from survival mode to intentional living. From "I hope they treat me right" to "I always treat myself right, so anyone in my life will have to match that." When you become what you're looking for, you naturally start filtering people differently. You're no longer drawn to chaos because chaos feels unfamiliar. You're no longer addicted to the highs and lows of inconsistent attention because you've built your own internal validation. You stop giving time and energy to people who aren't emotionally available because that's not who you are anymore. You stop being afraid of being alone because your own presence feels like enough. Everything changes when you realize that the greatest relationship you'll ever have is with yourself, and from that space, love becomes something you share, not something you chase. It becomes a choice, not a need. A reflection, not a replacement. So if you want love that is patient, deep, kind, present, and real, start by becoming all of those things, not just for someone else, not just so you'll be more attractive, but because that version of you is already whole, and wholeness doesn't look for someone to fix or rescue it. It looks for someone to grow with. So, the next time you catch yourself waiting, hoping, or wondering when love will find you, pause. And ask yourself a much more important question. Am I being the kind of person I would want to be with? Because when you become what you're looking for, when you embody the consistency, depth, clarity, and self-respect you crave from others, you stop settling. You stop chasing, and you start attracting relationships that feel like a reflection of who you truly are. This journey isn't about perfection, it's about alignment, and the most magnetic thing you can ever be is real, thank you.